And by saying we are remembering our past, it shows that we have all come a long way over the last 50 years, and we have each other to thank for that. That's it. That's worth celebrating. Clap if you like. I know we could share, we could wax philosophical about the bad things, the negative experiences, the unhappy memories some of us may have from over the past 50 years, but I prefer to focus on the positive stuff.
Yes.
Just think about how many times you've made that phone call, you've sent that email, you've visited that legislator, you've educated somebody about disability issues and your own needs. And then you've later realized change. Some of those changes that you in this room have helped to effect include the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, the Randolph-Shepard Act, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the Americans with Disabilities Act, amen, and the ADA Amendments Act. So I'm proud to be a part of those last years of advocacy and education with you. Because of people of us in this room, all of these laws were passed in order to enrich the lives of people with disabilities. It is because of people like us in this room who wrote those letters, showed up at a town hall meeting, sent the emails, joined disability advisory bodies, visited the Capitol for Disability Day on the Hill, or visited DC to educate our legislators about important laws or amendments that were needed to make life more equitable for people with disabilities. Let's give ourselves another round of that applause. As we race towards the future together, we will continue to enjoy the advancements in technology and accommodations that make our lives easier and assist us to navigate our environment. Lawmakers have started to realize that a community that is designed for all people, no matter their age or ability, is a community that all people want to be a part of, to live in, to work in, and to visit. Although each of us who have had any kind of an impairment for any number of years, myself, I've been a wheelchair user for 31 years, we can share a long list of great strides that have been made over the past several decades, especially the passage of the ADA. And I know that we can share a long list of setbacks as well. But as the old saying goes, there's no future in the past. And we really should set our sights on tomorrow and next week and next month and next year. We need to step up our game. We need to get out even more. We need to attend even more public meetings and events. If we need an accommodation, we should be asking for them. Visit your governing body's meetings. And if you want to participate, you should feel not only encouraged, but empowered to do so. Here in Knoxville, we have made great progress over the years in ADA compliance. We've got fixed route buses that will automatically call out the stops, so you will not miss your opportunity to use public transit. We have pedestrian signals that talk to you, that let you know when it's safe to cross the street, and curb cuts at our intersections so that wheelchair users may get on and off the sidewalk safely. And we have incorporated those detectable warnings, otherwise referred to by wheelchair users as detestable warnings. That's a joke, that's a joke. To ensure that we are giving a tactile clue for our friends who have a visual impairment so that they too can safely get on and off of our sidewalks and navigate our community. We have elevators which, just by the way they ding or chime, tells us which direction they're going. And many, many, many more other amenities that try to help us ensure that we're making our city and our community easier and more welcoming for individuals with disabilities. We have a very active advisory body here in Knoxville. It's called the Mayor's Council on Disability Issues. Raise your hand if any of you are active in your local disability mayor's council or that sort of body. That's fantastic. I see hands up. I would like to see more hands up next time I come here. There are 21 individuals who either have a disability or are connected somehow real closely to the disability community. And they exist to offer recommendations to the city administration on how we can improve access to our public spaces, or how we might need to change a policy that they feel is out of date, or just could be more inclusive of all people. Wherever you live, whatever you do, I hope you're involved. I hope you're talking to your elected officials about barriers that you might experience, and I hope you're requesting the accommodations that you need in order to participate fully however you choose. Look in your hometown for those activities, those events, those concerts, etc., that are open to all the public, and go.
Yes.
Be involved. If you need an accommodation, don't be afraid to request it. And if they say no, ask again. The more any of us get involved, the easier it is for everyday people to see that all of us are also, what? Just everyday people, right?
Yes.
Learn who the ADA coordinator is in your city or county. Ask if there are any adaptive sports or inclusive recreational programs or committees that maybe focus on accessibility that you could get involved in. Maybe you're interested in a particular park or a particular facility renovation or project. Ask if you can be involved when folks are looking to make plans for change in that facility. If you find a situation where access needs to be improved, let them know that too. My goal as the ADA coordinator for the city of Knoxville is to help create a city that makes everybody feel welcome and included. I'll never say I'm perfect. I will never say the city is perfect, but I can always promise you that we make a steady, concerted effort every day. And my wish for each of you today and for the rest of your conference is that you learn a lot about your community, what's going on in areas of the state that maybe you don't live or aren't as familiar with, that you get to meet new people, network with new colleagues and friends, build those relationships. And when you're finished, I hope you'll take some time to really explore our city and enjoy some of the St. Patrick's Day, shall I say, shenanigans that are going on around town. But if you can't do that today, please come back and join us. And if you ever need anything from the city of Knoxville in a stance of disability or ADA, I hope you'll call me and let me know. And I know you're going to have a fabulous concert. Y'all, I don't know, y'all are fired up. You can get to singing before I leave. I don't know. But I just want to wish you well in your conference. Have a great time. I want to thank Christina and I want to thank Greg for asking me to come. And I wish you well. And again, top of the morning to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Miss Stephanie. We appreciate it. And Greg has your token of appreciation. It's a great lanyard, so you can advertise National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee in Knoxville and have your keys on it. So.
Well, may I have one, please?
We might be able to work that out, Malika. We might be able to work that out. So we're going to do a little bit of backtracking. And so, you know, in our opening ceremonies, we do a couple things. We always say Pledge of Allegiance, and we always give a non-denominational invocation. Loris Johnson, if you could step to the microphone, that would be awesome. He's not in here. He stepped out. Okay. Dr. Carter, if you'll step to the microphone then. I'm gregarious, if anything. So we're going to start with a great Pledge of Allegiance. So if you will all stand up. We've got two we're going to do. So when you get through with the first one, you're going to do a second one. So everybody up? All right. Okay. So we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So you ready?
Where's the flag?
There's no flag, but just face the way you are. Face the front. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, people from Tennessee, let's pray now.
Oh, no, hold on, Malika. So the next one is, if you'll repeat after me, we're going to make sure that everybody does the pledge for the National Federation of the Blind, because that's why we're here. I pledge to participate actively in the efforts of the National Federation of the Blind to achieve equality, opportunity, and security for the blind, to support the policies and programs of the Federation, and to abide by its Constitution. All righty. So those are our pledges that we make not only to the country and to our organization. And we've got Caitlin McIntyre, and she's going to do the national anthem. So if you'll remain standing while that goes. Here you go.
Yay!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Let's give her another warm applause. She did great, y'all. Well done, everybody. You can definitely have a seat.
I thought she stuck her hand in an electric socket.
It was the hair. You didn't realize the hair was going everywhere. It was an early morning for her.
There's no glass windows in here.
All right.
Josh.
Oh, he's got it. All righty. Did Dr. Carter?
Yeah.
You were supposed to be making your way to the front.
Oh, I didn't hear you. We're bringing the mic to you. You're gonna do the non-denomination invocation? Okay.
Okay, let us pray. We give thanks for this day to you, our creator and maker. We thank you for the National Federation of the Blind. We thank you, oh God, for all of those who are here, whom you have given safe passage and safe travel. We thank you for what you have allowed us to experience since we've been here. And we pray that you continue to make this convention something that will impact our lives and the lives of all those with visual and other disabilities around the world. As you impact us, that we will take what we learned and spread it wherever you allow us to go. We pray that you will continue to be with us, guide and direct our efforts, and in everything we will give you all the praise, all the honor, and all the glory, for it all belongs to you. In the name of our Father, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All righty. Well said. Get my microphone back. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you there, Dr. Carter. She is from the Memphis chapter. You'll see her on Sunday. We have a non-denominational service, and we thank those who are going to be doing that. So our next up is hopefully Wendy Austin. She is with Vanda Pharmaceuticals. And Vanda Pharmaceuticals, for those of you who haven't gotten that far back in your agenda, is one of our gold level sponsors this year. They are a great sponsor of the National Federation of the Blind. They help us nationally and by sponsoring affiliates to have conventions. So I'm going to let her speak on what Vanda Pharmaceutical is. I know you guys have seen that commercial on non-24-hour sleep disorders, and she's going to tell us a little bit about their efforts. So here's Wendy.
Thank you, guys. I'm so glad to be here. I know I've talked to a lot of you already. And wow, I just have to say, after following what just happened, I'm blown away. I'm like, okay, could we have put me a little bit further down the agenda? Wow, that's amazing. Great way to start. So, my name is Wendy Osteen. I'm a registered nurse. I do work for the company called Vanda Pharmaceuticals. And my role with the company, you guys, is literally just to increase awareness on the condition called non-24. Raise your hand if you've heard of it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I talked to most of y'all yesterday, right? So that literally is my role, is literally just to increase awareness because so many people are not aware of the condition. And it's really prevalent, right?
I know about it.
Good. Okay, so we're doing our job. That's a good thing. And you guys, I like the phrase, knowledge is power, right? So my goal is to give knowledge so then you can walk away with the power to be your own healthcare advocate. That's really my goal. So what I do for the company is I go around, I've spoken to some of your chapters, Cleveland in particular, shout out to the Cleveland chapter. But I do the presentations to your chapter meetings, monthly. I come to meetings like this, national, you name it. Anyone who will listen to me educate on non-24, that's what I do. I live in Alabama. I don't want to hear any boos. Yes, I'm a Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
I'm a Roll Tide girl. Thank you.
Roll Tide.
I knew I shouldn't have said that. I'm not in a good space here. I know I've learned to keep that to myself when I'm in Tennessee. But having said that, even, I travel every week, you guys. So like I'll fly home today and I will have someone captive on that plane seat next to me, right? They're going to learn about non-24 because inevitably they will say, so what do you do? Oh, they open the door, right? I tell them. They get to learn about non-24. So having said that, my goal for you guys, I know I've talked to a lot of y'all at the table, is to increase awareness. So if you've learned about non-24, it may not affect you. Share that information, like that person on the plane today. They're going to learn about it, right? It's important. So just in the short time I have, I'm just going to give you guys a snapshot of what it looks like. So non-24 can occur at any age. It affects men and women equally. And you typically notice the symptoms around the time you lose your sight. But having said that, it can occur at any time, right? Research does suggest that up to 70% of totally blind individuals with no light perception in the U.S. may have non-24. It's more common if you're totally blind, but here's an aha moment for a lot of people. You can be low vision, you can be partially sighted, you can even be fully sighted and have non-24. So I know the commercials say, are you totally blind? It's just more common, you guys, okay? That's a big takeaway a lot of people get from the presentations that I do to your groups. So what non-24 is in a snapshot, right? Because I've only got a few minutes. If you have difficulty going to sleep at night, or maintaining sleep. By that, I mean, you go to sleep, you sleep a couple of hours, and then you're wide awake, right? And you're up, and then you're ready to go back to bed when everybody else is getting up for the day. Then you're sleepy during the daytime, right? That's what it really looks like. And the reason for this is your body needs a daily signal to reset your internal clock, right? So you've got to reset that clock every day. Past midnight tonight, you get 24 hours every day, but you only get 24, right? If your clock isn't reset, your body begins to run on its own internal clock. And that's where the sleep problem happens, okay? So you got to have that light perception every day to reset your clock. So with that, you guys, like I said, the main thing I just want you to know is you don't have to be totally blind. It's just more common. If you do want, I know, like I said, I've talked to a lot of you guys at some of your chapters. If you're interested in having a presentation, just let me know, because we really are just trying to spread the word. Because the key thing here, you guys, if we had 100 totally blind individuals in this room, up to 70 of those people may have non-24, and only one person may get an accurate diagnosis. So that's a shame, right? Yes. That's why I go back to knowledge is power. So with that, I want to say thank you for having me here today. If you want more information, you guys, I have a table out there and I have some audiobooks. I know I've given those to a lot of you. But if you just want more information, let me know. And I'm going to give you guys some time. Somebody have a question?
No, I just want to say you're going to be out there. You have a question. You're going to be out there.
Yes. Yeah. I'll be out there. So.
I'm very interested.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, you guys come see me. And what question?
Just the age range for the product.
Okay. Well, he was asking age range for products. So, and I didn't do my disclaimer. Y'all know I normally do it. I only do condition awareness. So there are therapies available. I don't ever talk about them. what we do, if you did want information as far as therapies, then we have a personal health educator that I can connect you with that can call you and answer any info. We just like to keep it really in the swim lanes of I'm only going to tell you about the condition. So we stay true to that. And I don't look good in orange. I know you Tennessee fans do, but I would have to wear that orange jumpsuit if I start talking about products. So, but you guys come see me if you have questions. Christina has my contact information. A lot of y'all have my contact information. So thank you. This is a great meeting, and I'm going to turn it back over to Christina.
Door prize. Oh, goody.
Right, so yes, and we do thank Amanda for your support. That money will definitely go to support the programs of the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee. So definitely. All right, did I hear the call for door prizes?
Yes.
Okay, well, we are gonna get there, but they do have to last, so I'm gonna bring up one more presenter before we do that. I know, but if you're really anxious, I guess.
No, it's fine. We can wait.
No, I think you brought them up now.
Oh,
You
no.
go give that door prize. Door prize.
Okay, a $25 gift certificate to Olive Garden from Terry Smith of Scenic City for Becky, Allen Vendor.
Oh, Becky Allen, she's in the vendor area, so you have to be present to win, so keep on drawing.
Lynn Starks.
Lynn Starks, are you in the room?
That's my alias.
Oh, you look great in the dress, too. You look great in the dress. All righty, we have some empty seats this morning. Keep on drawing.
Where is everybody?
Lynn's in the breakfast room, y'all. I helped her get there, so she hasn't come back from breakfast.
Oh, well,
She's gonna be mad at me.
she will, but she'll go back into the pile. Keep on drawing, Miss Ma'am.
Jason Sadler.
Oh, we got a winner. All right, so somebody find Jason for lunch, right? I think you're gonna be buying somebody lunch at this rate. So coming up next, one of the things in our opening ceremonies that we wanted to do was, this is our 50th anniversary. The Tennessee affiliate was refounded in 1969 when we rejoined the National Federation of the Blind. We were founded on the basis of equality. In 1968, there were individuals in the Memphis area who wanted to ensure that all people, regardless of color or race, were able to come to meetings. It was at a time where desegregation was the law of the land, but in practice, that always didn't happen. So they got together a bunch of white and Caucasian and Black blind people and said we wanted to found a chapter. And not too long after that, national office sent somebody into Tennessee to help organize an affiliate. They connected up together, and in June of 1969, the Memphis and Nashville chapters, respectively back then, helped to form our affiliate. And we have been growing ever since. So it's definitely something to be proud of. Give you guys, some of you were here, Will McFly was, so that definitely deserves a round of applause. And one of the ways, besides our members, that we get here is through the leadership of our affiliate. And since this is our 50th anniversary, one of the things we wanted to do, because our theme is remembering our past and racing towards our future. Well, our past includes some of our great affiliate presidents, and some of which we are here today. So to give you a presentation on that is Tara Tate from the Memphis chapter. Come on up, Tara. If you are a chapter or division president or standing in for such individuals who could not make it, if you will make your way to the front, that would be awesome. And I'm going to turn the mic over to Tara.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm gonna try that again. Good morning to the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee. All right. So grateful to be here on today. To our president, board of directors, and all of those who are at the table on this morning. Good morning. Well, as our past presidents, as well as our presenters of our past presidents make their way to the podium, come around behind the podium. All right. As they make their way, we're gonna make this short and sweet. We have about a minute and maybe 30 seconds with each speaker. So you know what we got to do in the Federation. Get on quick. Just like we do those legislative laws. All right. Today, the Tennessee affiliate is honoring our past presidents. We are so grateful for the time that they have invested in our affiliate. And we are also so grateful to have with us our national representative this morning, Joe Ruffalo.
From Jersey.
Yeah, president of the National Federation of New Jersey. Woo! So, all right. You have to ask Tennessee about that.
No, you cannot have.
So when I think of the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee, I think of unity. Unity is the state of being unified and joined as a whole. So we are many members, aren't we?
Yes.
We are many members in the largest organization in the world that speak out for blind individuals. Saying is being used today as a sign of our organization and what we do here in Tennessee. And today we are honoring our past presidents for all the hard work and dedication. Combining the sand is a sign of the unity within our affiliate and the wisdom and leadership of our past presidents has linked us together into the future and of course into the present, right?
Yes.
All right, and now we are working hard together as one to make it happen in Tennessee. So our first past president is Natalie Hargrove Connolly. And she was the one that came in 1969 to 1974 to reestablish the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee. And one thing in my research, I found that she actually had an opportunity to visit Dr. Jernigan's father's farm. And they had Christmas dinner. Wow, how awesome is that? And she also published an article about that recipe, one of the recipes that she loved to cook, in the Braille Monitor in 1971. And we are also honoring, and as you hear the name, just kind of formulate yourself for your minute in your head. Ned Williams, 1974 to 1986, Sherwin Treadway, I'm sorry, I apologize. Thomas Franklin, 1986 to 1990, Evelyn Hogg. Reggie Lindsay, 1990 to 2000, James Broadnax. Oh, Michael C. I tell you, I heard a lot about him. I didn't get a chance to meet him. 2000 to 2009, Evelyn Hogg. James Broadnax, 2009, 2010. It will be Christina Clift. Kim Williams, 2010 to 2012. We have Natalie Harwood. Norwood. I'm going to get it together, y'all. James Brown, 2012 when I came in, to 2018, Christina Clift. In that order, please. All right.
You got your marching orders, people.
I did.
We're gonna put sand where? You're gonna put. So
And also, as each speaker, they will put sand in the bag, in the container, to represent our past presidents.
Okay. Mr. Williams was, as we heard, one of the first presidents of the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee, and he was an innovator. He was born in Mississippi, in Columbus, Mississippi, and moved to Memphis in 1963, where he was the first African-American teacher in the Memphis city school system. He worked in the National Federation of the Blind in many positions, including president. Most of us knew him as an innovator, and I think he missed his calling. I think he should have been a lawyer.
He can argue you down.
He was the kind of person that when I would call him after getting involved in the National Federation of the Blind, and I would call him with an idea, and he'd go, "Are you sure? Are you really sure?" And it wasn't that I was wrong. He just wanted me to be sure and make sure I had everything together before I did something. He was that type of person. He was, in all aspects, an educator. A lot of you in this room, he helped to learn Braille. He also taught at the University of Memphis, which was Memphis State at that time, and taught individuals the skills that they needed to go forward and teach Braille and get their license to teach blind students. And that was Mr. Williams. He is survived by his wife, Miss Barbara, and we're sorry that she's not able to be here today.
All right. Evelyn Hogg. Oh, yeah. You're right. So sorry. Oh, yeah. I'm good. Let's move quickly. Oh, no, we don't want them to move quickly in the trip.
Yeah, there's no room back
There's
there.
puppies back here.
Doggies, watch your tails and toes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The first president is going to be Mr. Thomas Franklin, who was from Memphis, Tennessee. He worked in the Memphis City school system for several years. He attended Tennessee School for the Blind. Worked along with some of our members that's here today. And he also worked along with Mr. Williams. Okay, Josh, hit it. Okay, on this president, Mr. Michael C. You didn't have to stop. That was Mike's favorite song. And I know y'all remember at all the bars that he hung out in the convention. Michael C. is a Memphian. He was born in Memphis. He attended Lemoyne College in Memphis. He was our president from March of 2000 until 2009 when he passed. Mike was one of the funniest guys I ever knew. I picked him up for chapter meetings. And after chapter meetings, we also had to make our special stops at the corner store. I remember one Saturday I took Mike to the store and he bought what he bought. And he used his credit card. The clerk said the signatures are not the same. So he asked him to sign it again. He signed it again. He said it still don't look the same. So, excuse my language, but Mike told the clerk, hell, I used to be a doctor.
There's. She going around. Okay. Where's the mic? She going around.
Good morning, Rachel. Former president for at least 12 years, President Lindsay. Worked with him, he was a great federation. had all brothers and sisters love for his Federation members. Back during those years, we had some rough times trying to raise funds and collect funds. So he came up with the idea of the MIG, and we had our statewide seminars. We even had between conventions, we had a picnic so we could rest our nerves and snack on something. So we had some good times back during those years. I used to hate to hear my phone say call from Lindsay Reggie because I had to get me a Pepsi and a glass of tea because I'm gonna be sitting there for a while. Reggie used to love to talk about Federation. I thought he didn't know nothing to talk about Federation. Federation and fun is all he ever talked about. A great leader, served his 12 years. And the sad day when he stepped down, but he knew what was best, whether he wanted to move on or just continue as our leader. So, but I served under him as the first vice, board of directors for a long time. And since I'm standing, I may as well go and give myself a pat on the back. If I'm blessed to see the third Sunday in this June, I'll be celebrating 47 years.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot, still trying to learn. So, thank you very much.
Good job.
There you go. Hold that and put that in there.
Well, Ms. Tora Tate has given me, I want to say this, about 2.5 seconds
All right.
for each year that I served. She said 30 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, so I do like to thank James Broadnax for that patented intro. You know, no one else could do it like James Broadnax. But I was at a reunion last October, and while reading the agenda, I noticed a theme of the reunion. And the theme was divided by distance, but not by heart. Divided by distance, but not by heart. The spirit of that thing could apply to any one of us in this room today. Okay, but I want you all to know that my heart will always be with the Federation. And I'd like to thank President Cliff, the State Board of Directors, and all of you as members for this recognition. And may God continue to bless the Federation of the Blind.
It's a lot of sand, yes. It's a big bucket, so you don't miss. All right, there we go. I got it.
Madam President.
Alrighty, so, well, I came into the affiliate around the time when Michael C. passed away, which was a week before our convention in Knoxville back in 2009, we believe, if I remember correctly. And his first vice president at the time was James Broadnax. And one of the things that a first vice president is assigned to do when they're elected, if it ever happens, unfortunately, is to what, guys? What does the first vice president do?
It takes office of president when they're not able to do so.
Takes the office of the president when they're no longer able to do so, either by death or by circumstance. That occasionally happens. So me and Mr. Broadnax have one thing in common. He stepped into the shoes of a president who passed away with no warning. And I stepped into the shoes of a president after being deceased with no warning. It is a job that I would not wish upon anybody in this affiliate because you usually have some big shoes to fill. James Broadnax took the shoes of Michael C. and carried us through not only that convention in Knoxville after losing a great friend, but also through to the next year where I first saw him deliver his state of the his presidential address in 2010 in Knoxville. He has been a vendor in the TBE Randolph Shepherd program for many years. He was married to a great woman, Miss Ruth Broadnex, for I believe more than 40 years, right, Mr. Broadnex? And he produced two great kids, Courtney and Adrian. One of his accomplishments that you might not know is in the Memphis chapter, we have set up a memorial fund in the name of Adrian Kinsey, his daughter, and it provides assistance to individuals who have a unmet need that can't be filled in any other way. So as a president, not only of our affiliate in hard times, but within the chapter, he has served our organization well. He keeps you on your toes, and he lets you know what he thinks, feels, and believes. And that's a great thing to know about him. But he's got a great sense of humor, and he's made a great contribution within our affiliate. So we definitely thank him for that. All righty, next up is Natalie.
And also the volunteer chapter has given each one of our past presidents a token of love.
Is it money?
We're not that rich.
Just want to point out Christine is not a past president.
Good morning. So I'm going to talk to you about Kim Williams, who came next after James Broadnex in 2010. During Kim's tenure as president, a lot of things happened that this affiliate had not experienced before. She introduced the use of grants with our older blind and diabetes organizations that we applied for grants and we were able to get them. Also grants that we used for student training. And Kim also introduced leadership training for people in our affiliate in Baltimore. If you don't know about that, that's where the National Federation headquarters is, and they have a very extensive leadership training, which I personally have never taken part in. Maybe now that I'm retired, I'll consider that. But it is very extensive and it's very, very critical. I happen to be a proponent of understanding what it is you're involved in, as opposed to just being a warm seat. So that was very important to this affiliate during Kim's time. And Kim was very active in the national level at that time with women's issues. I remember being part of that while she was involved more so with the national level while she was president in this affiliate. She was a leader at that time with TABM. She was a TBE vendor and is now retired. She's married to Rick Williams, who is still a TBE vendor. He's quietly trying to hide back there in the back, but he is here today. Kim has two children, Deanna and Thomas. They each have three children, so she's very involved these days, being a wonderful Kimmy. That's her name. She would kill me. She'd kick me from behind if I say Granny or Grandma. But anyway, Kim is my best friend. I've been blessed with two very, very dear friends throughout my life that have carried me and been tremendous parts of my children's life. The other one is Debbie back in the back. And my children look to them as parent figures and their husbands as well, Art and Ricky. So I'm very blessed and I have a special place in my heart for both of them. Today I happen to be talking about Kim. Her these days, as I said, are spent supporting her husband still in his business and being a wonderful grandparent hands-on to her grandchildren, one of which has a vision impairment. And so she will continue to be involved, I think, in those areas as a parent, or if you will, or I consider grandparents a type of a parent of blind children, which is an active division in this affiliate. So I could talk on and on. I'm not going to because they're going to take the microphone away from me. So I'm going to let Kim say a few words, and then she'll do her saying. Oh, I'm supposed to do that. Here you go. You got a big bag.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The one thing that I want to say, and believe it or not, I'm gonna make it real short, is I was talking with Christina yesterday, and she came up to me and she said, Kim, there was one thing that I remember you saying in one of your speeches at state convention, and that is along the way, you're gonna lose a lot of friends, but you're gonna gain some friends. And I think every one of our past presidents, and even Christina now as our president today, will tell you that being a president of a chapter, a division, the state affiliate is one of the hardest things you will ever do in your life because of the fact that you're representing everyone, not yourself. You're putting everyone else first and yourself last because of the position that the body voted and entrusted you to do. So with that said, I want to tell you that it's been a wonderful journey. And I have always said I would retire at 50. So at 51 and a half, and I'm a little older than that now, I did retire. And I am enjoying being Kimmy to 6 wonderful, beautiful grandchildren. But our path has taken a little bit of a different direction because any of you who have known me for any length of time knows that Ricky and I knew that one day we would have at least one grandchild that was legally blind. We knew that. And that really had a whole lot to do with why we got involved with NFB, because we were already adults, but we wanted to prepare ourselves for the day that we would have a grandchild coming into this world and make sure that he had because we knew it would probably be a boy too, he would have every opportunity that we did not have growing up in the 60s and 70s. And so we're there. And he starts kindergarten this fall. He's a twin. And he starts kindergarten this fall. And I think, Jason is here. And I met with Jason and his vision teacher and some other people a few weeks ago. And I've heard horror stories for years about IEPs. Horror stories. And I went into this meeting so prepared with my guard up, ready to take a stance, gonna butt heads if I had to. And it was absolutely the most precious time that I had because they were there. And they worked right beside our daughter every step of the way. His IEP is every bit of 45 to 50 pages long, starting kindergarten. He is going to have every opportunity that I think any child should have. I don't care what, if you're handicapped, if you're blind, if you're sighted, whatever. And he's so excited. He's supposed to have his first soccer game today, but it got canceled because of all the rain. So, we're back, we're around, but you're going to be hearing a whole lot about Mr. Charlie. And you're probably going to be seeing Mr. Charlie coming up in the next little bit. So not today, but in the years to come as he gets a little older, and get him and his mom and dad and his brothers involved. With that said, thank you all so much for everything you've done for us, and keep us all in your prayers as we start this transition. And Christina, good luck to you, darling. Thank
you. All righty. So next up is a man who we know well, our previous and former president, that of James Brown. Yeah. He is a man who somehow conned me into coordinating. He didn't con me into it. He just asked me. I accepted. But he will be known for starting our Bell Academy and getting the bells for Braille literacy in Tennessee to ringing. Yes, right? But he's also known for one other quality that everybody knows, and we're going to hear in just a second. Yes, he's known for his singing. He's brought a lot of soul and music into the affiliate, has he not? Yes. So, Josh, if you will, play that song.
Yeah, Mr. Brown, sing it.
We won't make him sing it, but James Brown, of course, was served equally well by his first lady, Crystal Brown. He has served as the president of the national chapter. He also while in office, did several leadership seminars, one of which I think was under Kim's terrain, which was one of our Rising Stars seminars, so our first one. And she did it, and now 10 years later, almost, we did another one. So he's got a lot of contributions he's made to the affiliate. He served also on our national board of directors. So a man that has many talents, and unfortunately he did retire a little earlier, and I think he will be around in the affiliate for a very long time. So I'm going to let him say what he wants now, because you're going to hear from me for way too long.
Good morning, Federationists.
Good morning.
So, listening to the past presidents, first of all, I'm honored to be in line with those people who went before me as president. It's a great honor. I want to thank everyone here that's participated. It's not an easy job running an affiliate. You have a lot of people calling you, texting you, and everybody wants answers. And so, but fortunately, that allowed me to get to know a lot of you. And as I was hearing some of the past remarks, kind of made me think a little bit. Made me think about coming here and starting the Knoxville chapter. Across from the library downtown. What fun we all had together. I think during my time, just building the affiliate was very awesome for me. Starting the Clarksville chapter, spending nearly a year with them as their chapter was starting up. Johnson City, a little harder for me to get out there. Gosh, that's far. But honor, sitting in the hall of the United States Senate, being honored by Senator Corker, who's the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, for working on the Marrakesh Treaty. You all helped make that happen. That was you all. I was there representing you. You voted for me, and you helped make that happen. So give yourselves a hand. We got a lot of good years left. And I've got to do something with this bag of sand in my hands. I've been holding it for too long.
This time, just those division presidents that came up, they're going to tell where they're from and what division they represent. Real quick. Good morning, I'm Betty Tucker, and we're from Clarksville, and the president is Lorraine Watkins, but she couldn't be here today, and I'm the vice president.
I'm Shannon Hansen from Murfreesboro, and I'm representing the student division.
Shoot for some and break on.
Come on, Federation.
Hi, I'm Darwin Meter, and I'm representing the Scenic City chapter from Chattanooga. I'm the president.
Good morning again. This is Greg Self, and I'm chapter president of the volunteer chapter here in Knoxville. Thank you.
Melissa Smith, TABM president.
In closing, I would like to keep the music going. I listen to this song so much at home.
I'm Shannon Hansen from Stones River.
All right. We all know that. Just give a little clap. Bye. Did I miss any presidents? I know. You ready? We have President Christine McClift. She's coming. And one thing we all know, especially in Memphis, she will volunteer you to do what she needs you to do. Right? And we are willingly to support the National Federation of the Blind as she pour her singing in. All right. We have President Joe representing our National Federation of the Blind, Mark Riccobono, who is our national president. As Ruffalo Cody saying then, he puts the cap on from the national office. Let's give him a hand for representing our national office this weekend.
It takes many of us to do what we do. So you should congratulate yourself, all the people here today from Tennessee. Let's hear from Tennessee.
more excitable. You're too calm. You're too calm. But greetings from Mr. Riccobono, and you'll hear me later on. But great convention so far. I just got a little afraid a little bit. They gave me water, bucket of sand, cement. I got a little afraid. Maybe put my feet in there, and we'll talk about that later. No, a bucket of sand, cement shoes. Here you go.
Oh, that's so funny. I said it in the mic. Now I'm depositing. I'd like for all members to stand, please, because we didn't have enough space for everyone to come up. I need for all of the NFB of TN to stand, please.
Where do we go?
Right where you are. Stand in your place. Now I am depositing sand that represents the members of the National Federation of the Blind. Y'all hear it? And in closing, I would like to thank the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee for entrusting me with this moment on the agenda. And also, I would like to leave you with a little something sweet to represent our 50th year. So we have a bag that we're going to pass out, and you can have a seat, and each item has candy in it. We all love something sweet, right? Each item is wrapped in gold, which represents our 50th year. We have 4 Hershey's Kisses with almond. If you're allergic to almond, please do not eat the Hershey's Kisses. Give them to me, okay? So we have 4 that represents the 4 legs of our federation. The national level, the state, the division, and the chapters. We have 2 Werther's Originals in the bag, which represents, did you all know we are the same age as Werther's Original this year? 50 years. They were also formed in 1969. And also we have 2 cones, 2 golden wrapped 50-cent pieces. We know we all about fundraising. Yeah. So that's one reason, yeah. But then one is to let you know that you're not alone in this fight. We're not alone. And also the last gold coin lets us know, and y'all gonna help me this right. It lets us know and tells us that we, the Tennessee affiliate, representing 50 years of the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee. Thank you. Hold on. Don't go nowhere. So thank you, Tara, for that. We appreciate it. There you go. All righty. And like she said earlier, I think I would not be here if it were not for a lot of our previous affiliate presidents. I've gotten a lot of mentoring over the years from not only Reggie and James Broadneck to James Brown, but as Kim said earlier, Kim as well. So definitely we want to give them one last round of applause because we all stood on somebody's shoulders, and those are the ones. How do I follow that? So now it's my turn to give your president's report. And if any of you know me well, you know that I'm not a long-winded person. Don't have to thank me for that either, which means you won't go to sleep, hopefully, while I give my report. So before I start, I think we had a great ceremony. I'm going to ask Shannon to give us a door prize. Okay. And hopefully more people made it in so that they can get that door prize.
I didn't hear it.
She's coming. She's getting her microphone turned on.
Let me come in here.
You ready, Shannon?
Okay, we have a wine glass from Joe Ruffalo
Use the mic.
for Sharon Treadway.
All right. She might need that too.
Give you the one.
Oh, we thought there was wine in that box too. All righty. Congratulations. So my presidential report does not have a title. I could not come up with one. But I will start out this way. Almost a year ago, you elected me, the members of the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee, to serve as your president. And I have to honestly say it was one of the best days of my life, but boy, wasn't it all, well, it was also one of the worst.
And I say that because it was one of the best. It was a goal that I had established back in 2011. I was new to the affiliate. I'd only been to one convention, which was in Nashville. And next year, I was voted in to serve as vice president of the Memphis chapter. And I got asked to coordinate the convention by then president of our chapter, Lev Williams. And he's like, well, don't you want to be president of the organization? And I said, no, nope, I'm not ready yet. Don't know if I'm ever going to get there. Don't know if I have the time to commit to do that type of job. And we had a conversation then of what that job entailed. And I thought, well, maybe in another 15, 20 years that might happen. I'll think about it. But I know I'm not ready right now. So while I was in the chapter, I got some great mentoring. But I got elected to serve on your board of directors then as a director. And I got to do some learning then under Kim Williams. I got to attend a leadership seminar she put in place in Nashville, which was coordinated then by Reggie Lindsay. I think he coordinated that leadership seminar. And then James came in 2013 and did such an awesome job. And I got more experience as the Bell Academy coordinator and learning how to run a program, not only in Memphis, but trying to figure out how to expand that statewide, and learned about the budget, because it's all about the money, right, guys?
Yep.
Budget, our funds help fund what we do. So in 2018, I think it was, or 17, we were doing another leadership seminar, and James Brown, our speaker, said, well, you know, what is your goal? I think it was like the next 3 to 5 years. I jokingly, honestly said, I want to be president. And later on, I think, not maybe a year later, James announced that he was not seeking another term as president. And he asked me, was I interested? And I was like, well, maybe I'm ready. And I thought about it. And I think not too long before convention, he's like, are you sure? And I thought about it. And I was like, I think I'm ready. Because I knew that even if James retired, he wasn't going to step away. And I knew that within the organization, I'd have help. So in 2018, of course, I got elected as president. And as Kim says, it is a journey that you enter on where everybody else typically comes before you. So these are my worries as I come into the presidency on April the 8th, I believe it was, of 2018. Taking the shoes of a great president who served us well, and figuring out how am I going to leave my mark on the organization, and learning the job as I go along, which is a full-time job. Did anybody know the presidency was a full-time job? Yep. Right? It is. It is not a part-time job at all. No. When I get a call or I get a text or an email or a message on Facebook, however y'all tend to reach out to me, and y'all know y'all reach out. You know, a response is requested in a reasonable time. And I am sometimes really good at that, depending on what I actually do in my paid job that day. But sometimes, you know, it takes a little bit longer. So I appreciate all the patience you guys have had as I've learned the role of being president. So that is why it was the best, because I knew that you guys had some faith and confidence that I could do the job. Otherwise, hopefully you would not have elected me to serve. But it was the worst, because the biggest fear, and we talked about this at a leadership seminar national, that I would have is that I don't leave the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee better than I found it. I want to make it better than I found it, because nobody wants to say we left the affiliate in worse shape at all. So that's why it was the worst, because now there's pressure. So in May, we spent the time in May of last year working on getting our Bell Academies organized. We had a great coordinator in Michelle Quinn, that is. I'm going to rename her. And we, in June of that year, the bells, of course, of Braille literacy rang out in Tennessee. We had 15 students at Austin Peay State University learning Braille, learning how to live the lives they want. They received great non-visual skills instruction. They got to go to the Sky Zone to jump on those things they jump on. I can't think of the name of them, trampolines. And they got to do a lot of things that they might not have had the opportunity to do because they're blind kids. You're supposed to keep them safe, right? They don't know how to jump. If they did, they might fall and break their heads. Unfortunately, the misconception. But we know that they can jump just fine. So we had a great Bell Academy. In July, of course, we geared up for our national convention. In between between April and July, not too long after I left convention, I think it was like a Tuesday after we left convention in April, I got a call from President Riccobono. I was like, I couldn't have messed up that bad that quick. Surely not. And he said, we're having hearings on the Marrakesh Treaty in Washington, and we really want somebody from Tennessee to come. I think this was a Saturday, and we needed to be up there on a Monday. And I have a very flexible job, but not that flexible. And the last thing I wanted to tell President Riccobono was, sir, I can't do it. That's a hard thing to say to your national office when they call, and you've only been in office 3 days. So I thought about it, and I was like, well, I could try to just call in sick, and my boss would never know, and I'll make it up there. But I thought, well, who better to represent Tennessee than our previous president, that of James Brown? He went up to Tennessee and represented Tennessee well during that hearing. And as a result, as he said, the Marrakesh Treaty was signed into law. Yeah, give yourselves a hand. That was signed into law by President Trump in January, and the instrument of ratification was deposited in Geneva last month. So that is official. The United States is official. So that is a lot of hard work that we've done. So we get to July, and of course I get to represent Tennessee as the delegate, and National Convention was really awesome. We had a great group of individuals to come, and we get to our resolutions, and we're having a quick powwow back there, weren't we, guys? And of course the roll call vote comes up, and who's missing from the roll call vote? Tennessee! What a great introduction, right? to being the president. But it was great being able to make those calls. In August, one of the things that, if you know me, and some of you guys participate with me, mentoring is a big passion of mine because I was mentored along my way. All of you, I'm sure, at some point in your life have had somebody you looked up to. Yes. You might have called it a role model. They might have been your parent. They might have been a teacher. But they were somebody that you looked up to, hopefully somebody that you could go to for advice. And in our affiliate, one of the things that we are always striving to do is what? What are we trying to do with the affiliate? Become a family. Become a family. Well, that's great. We are a family. We might not have always gotten along as a family because we have those members. We know who we are. But we also know that as a family, we work together to build the organization. But sometimes we want our family to grow, right? Yes. We want to be bigger. We want to be better. Because that's the only way that our Federation family will continue its movement towards making a better life for the blind that are coming after us. In saying that, we wanted to ensure that we had programs in place within the affiliate to mentor some of our young presidents. We had a lot of new presidents this past year. We had a new president in Scenic City. We had a new president in Clarksville and in Stones River. Some of your longest serving presidents were in Nashville and in Memphis. Cleveland was very new. So we wanted to ensure within the affiliate that those presidents had the tools and the support from their state board that they needed. So we decided to have a leadership seminar, right? And we met you guys in October, and we invited members who showed and demonstrated leadership capabilities. And we all met, and we had great discussions about fundraising and membership development. And we talked about the website and how to do reporting correctly. Because some of what you do when you come in as a president is you have to find your own system of doing things. Sometimes you carry the system over that was done before you, but sometimes you find in that system that things might not have been done maybe the way they should have been done, or that could be done better, and you have to define your own role. So as we have worked over the last year, one of the things we are starting to implement, and James got us a good start on it, was keeping records of the organization. And preparing for our 50th, you'd be amazed there was no records. None, not a zilch, zippo. So we had really no history to dig up. We didn't have minutes from 1969. Wouldn't that have been awesome to read that? We didn't have any of our presidential addresses or reports that our presidents have made. We didn't have a lot of information. So what we have started doing is archiving information. So one of the things you'll see in the next coming up months on our website is a memory lane. And on that memory lane, you'll find information about the Tennessee affiliate. We are going to add information about all of our previous presidents. Those who are still with us hopefully will help us build what they'd like to see about themselves on that particular link of the website. And for those presidents who are no longer with us, we will work with their families to put information out there if we can, so that they are always remembered even after I'm gone. So that's one of the things we're doing. We've also created a network of digital access and information. We've updated our website. So if you go on our website, it used to look just like Nationals until they changed theirs. So I'm sure we will be changing our website a little bit as National gets that information down to us. We've created a Google Drive so that chapters now have access to store all of your minutes and all of the information they'd like to see for your chapters. And we plan to pass that down. We also have been working hard to ensure that as the Treasury gets passed down, that Melissa doesn't get another 2 boxes of books, or the next treasurer gets 3 boxes of books. Because as you know, financial record keeping has a lot of paper involved. And so we're putting those transition processes in place so that the next time it's even smoother than it was when me and Melissa and took over as president and treasurer. So we get to October, we've had a great leadership seminar, and in November and December, we're still continuing to work on legislation. One of the great privileges I had was to work with one of our community partners you'll hear from later, Disability Rights of Tennessee, and I got a call, and it put 2 fundamental questions in my mind, which was the right of prisoners to have freedom of movement, and the right of the staff to be safe, and of course the other prisoners. We collaborated with DRT on a case here in Tennessee where a blind prisoner in Lake County has been requesting a cane. And you know, everybody wants to have a cane, right? We want to be able to move around. It helps us to navigate our environment. Well, while the environment in prison is restricted, they do move around. And this particular prisoner has been moved around by human walkers, is the term they use. And then if any of you guys have ever used a sighted person to get you where you wanted to go, and they didn't show up, then you can understand probably what he's going through. His human walker doesn't always get him to meals. He doesn't always get him to the opportunities that you have to improve yourself or to build skills while incarcerated. And so that is a request he's made, and we were asked by DRT, well, what are your thoughts as the National Federation of Blind Tennessee? And we had a great discussion about that. The case is still under advisement. They have not made a call on that, but we do know that there are going to be concerns from the Department of Corrections on safety of their staff, because you can use a cane as a weapon, right? I've hit many of my kids. No, never would. That was a love tap. That's what I tell them, it's a love tap. But you're not supposed to use your cane as a weapon. And unfortunately, you know, we don't know what might happen with a cane in the federal prisons or even local prisons. So we do know, I said, well, I don't know the answer. I'm new to this job still. But I know people who know the answer, which is our national office. That's the support you get as a national, as a chapter, or as a division, or as an affiliate president. Is we get that support from above, right? We get it from our national board. We get it from President Rick Bono and all the staff in Baltimore, where our home is. Did you know you had a second home? Yes. Where is it? Baltimore. We helped build it. It is ours. It is your second home. So you live in the South, so I'm going to assume it's your winter home. It's your winter home. So I called there and I talked to Valerie Yingling in the legal department, and she's like, well, you know, there's some cases pending. I was like, oh, really? We're not the first. Okay. Well, what happened? Well, what advice did you give, you know, as you on those cases? And we talked about it, and she's like, well, you know, some of the same things I had mentioned earlier, safety and freedom of movement. So she said, let me know if Tennessee needs help on that, and we will work with you guys to look at that. So right now it's under the capable clause of the Disability Rights of Tennessee, but we are monitoring that with them to see how that case moves forward and how involved our affiliate needs to get to ensure that not only people who are on the outside get to live the lives they want as much as possible, but even those on the inside, for whatever reason, get to be able to live the lives they want. So it's going to be interesting. We also, in January, then, we moved to January. We went to Washington Seminar. How many of you guys have been to Washington Seminar? Why didn't everybody up on that one? We want everybody to get to Washington Seminar. Washington Seminar is your opportunity to come and talk to your legislators about issues that impact your life, right? So technology, access to technology, does that impact your life? Yes. What about accessible home medical devices like glucose meters, blood pressure monitors? Y'all don't need those, right? No, you don't need them? Everybody's healthy, right? Uh-huh. That's why you don't need those accessible exercise equipment either, right? No. So we went up there to also advocate for assistive technology, such as exercise equipment and medical equipment, to be accessible, from getting it out of the box and not having to figure out how to use it using some sighted assistance, or having to make do your own system, to use your microwave or to use your refrigerator or to use your glucose meter. We also talked about another piece of legislation. Who wants a job? Wait a minute, who wants a job? There you go. So one of the things that we also went out there to advocate for was the Disability Employment Act, which is asking the federal government to reimagine the Ability One program, to ensure that the Ability One program has transparency, that individuals who are in that program have the opportunity for advancement in that program, and they're not stuck in segregated sheltered workshops or in lower positions such as production and never given the opportunity to go to management positions. We got to visit with our legislators, and we have some work to do. You guys in the East, we were told heck no. We were told heck no by Congressman Rowe. He was not going to change the Ability One program. We were told by others that they really had to think about the Ability One program and how we want them to reimagine it and to support the Disability Employment Act. They think employing us is great, but they're not sure if changing the Ability One program is something that they really want to sign on to. So we have some advocating to do next year. We have advocating to do not just in January, but when you're in your chapter meetings, you know, there is advocating to do with your state legislators. We have problems at home, don't we? Right? We're going to talk about some of them. Vocational rehab might be one of them, because vocational rehab is one of the systems in place to help us get employment in Tennessee. We have advocating to do, unless everybody's transportation system is perfect, you got to work on transportation. So getting involved, not only coming to Washington Seminar, but working with James Brown as the legislative director here in Tennessee to help make change at home, to get other pieces of legislation passed. like the Teach Act that we got passed a couple years ago that ensured that technology is accessible in colleges and higher education. We got a blind parent bill passed in Tennessee. How many of you are blind parents? All right, so, as a blind parent, we wanted to ensure that in case for some other reason you had to go to court for whatever marital issues you might have theoretically had, that blindness could not be the only reason why you could not have custody of your children. That is not a reason to take anybody's children away. And so we have those protections in place because of the hard work of our members here in the affiliate. But we got a lot of work to do. So I have a lot of goals in mind for the next year. We are actively working on creating divisions, hopefully, for our seniors. How many of you guys are seniors? You ain't got to tell us how old you are. How many of you are seniors, right? Y'all lie, because there's not a lot of y'all clapping. Y'all lie, y'all lie, y'all lie. Not graduating seniors, but seniors like 50 and up. Not graduating seniors. I'm talking about you 50-year-olds and up. How many of you guys are there? Come on, clap. There you go. Now that sounds more like it, yeah. So did you know that as a senior, if you lose your vision, say you lose your vision at the age of 55, right? You've worked all your life in a trade, and for whatever reason, you lose your vision. You have to rehabilitate from that, right? You might have to relearn how to do some things. Yeah, I got to do a lot, exactly, right? And you have to tell, in order to get services here in Tennessee, you have to tell the Department of Vocational Rehab, I want to go to work. That's the only way you're going to get services. So I tell people all the time that just like our kids, our seniors need as much support from us as they can. They need the same skills to be able to live the lives they want, because just because you get old does not mean you should be staying at home doing nothing. It does not mean that you should be relegated to the role of being taken care of by your family. Yes, we all know our seniors. We have those family members of an age that do need help, regardless of sight. They need help, but they don't need to be disabled because of lack of sight. Right. So our seniors are a big group because we don't want to leave you behind in our affiliate. Our parents of blind children. We have some parents of blind children. And in the seminar earlier today, we heard from one parent who has a child here that's a scholarship winner. And she said, for 18 years, we've had to figure out how to do what we needed for him to be able to live the life he wants and to get a quality education. And she said, I wish I had known about you before, because she might have had an easier road of it. It might not have been smooth. There might have been those potholes. You love your potholes, guys, right? We found some of them on the way here. We have some of them at home, depending on where you live. There are always potholes that you have to go around. There are always obstacles you're going to have to be able to overcome. But where we can as an organization, we've always put support in place, whether it's through our Parents of Blind Children Division, whether it's through our Blind Educators Division, or whether it's through our Seniors Division, our Diabetics Division, our Lawyers Division. We got a lot of them, don't we? Our Performing Arts Division, yes, Caitlin. we put those supports in place so that people get the networking they need. They get the support they need to be able to do what they need to do to live the lives they want. So Parents of Blind Children is going to be an initiative over the next year, right along with those seniors. And finally, of course, in order to keep continuing to build our movement, we need youth. And there's a song by Common from the movie, from Glory. It's called Glory. It's from the movie Selma. And in the song, he says that it takes the energy of the youth and the wisdom of the elders, right? We need the energy of our youth to keep our movement going. And they need to be supported by the wisdom we have in Kim Williams and James Broadnax and James Brown. Yes, James Brown. They need that support. We need the support of the members, for those young members as they come in chapters, In your chapters, you should be doing mentoring. You should be encouraging those new members. You shouldn't look at them and go, yeah, you're new. You're not very independent, right? No, you're not doing the things the way you should, because we accept people where they are when they come in. And we help them get to where they want to be. Because the way you live your life is not going to be the same way I want to live my life. Some of you use guide dogs, right? Raise your paws and raise your tail if you're guide dog users. You've got humans you lead around, right? Yes. Exactly. So that is something that we plan to work on. So mentoring, whether it's on the chapter level, whether it's on the state level, or whether it's on a national level, and you're participating in our mentoring program to ensure that blind youth, regardless of where they are, has a blind mentor. Mentoring is a key part of what we do, and it's a part of a family. It's the support we give. So over the next year, I hope that you will work with me to build those initiatives. Sports and recreation is our final one that we're going to really work on, because I want you all to live a lot longer, right? So I want everybody to go on, get up, because I've been talking too long. So get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Come on, get up.
Get up. You heard it.
Come on, get up.
We're having a fit break.
So, yes, we're going to get up, and we're going to do a little bit of what we call a fit break, if you've ever been to a national convention. So, Josh, you over there? Mm-hmm. Y'all can't see you very well, right? Need to play the music for us. Get a good tune going. Any tune.
Lullaby and good night.
Oh, no, I want them to stand awake, not fall on their faces.
Anything in particular?
So, and now, Josh, sing with a beat.
Walking on sunshine.
Ain't no stopping us now.
Ain't no stopping us now. There you go.
That's true.
Yeah, ain't no stopping us now, because we are racing towards the future, right?
Right.
So as he plays this, what you're going to do is you're going to be doing some stretching. So hang with us as it gets going. What we want you to do is we're going to have you stand on one foot, to those that can still do this. No, we don't want you to fall. So use those natural supports you got next to you, or if you are in a row, hold on to the back of the seat in front of you, because support one another. Got it?
I think
all right.
We need to party.
There you go. All right, Emma, let's stay on your right foot. Come on, you can do it for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. It's going to feel like it, but it ain't going to be 30 seconds. All right. One foot. No, that's a good volume. They still got to be over here. Keep that right on that one foot. All right, kind of move a little bit if you can. Twist to the right. Come on, y'all. Use those hips. Salsa dancing. All right, so let's switch feet. Let's stand on the left foot if you can. And keep on moving side to side, twist.
But now it looks like things are finally coming around. Yeah. I know we got a long way to go.
All right, James. You keeping up with us over here, James Brown? All right, both feet on the ground. Both feet on the ground, and reach up like you're reaching for the stars. Reach up. All right, keep on twisting.
You
can stretch your hands out to the side, but don't hit your neighbor. Get that stretch on. All right, now do a little clapping. So listen to every word I say, right? Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Have a seat. All right. Good job, everybody. So if that got you out of breath, you might need to join us in the sports and recreation opportunities. Because it's not only being physically fit, that not only helps you, loosen those joints that might stiffen up upon occasion. We want to keep you healthy. Diabetes is one of the biggest leading causes of blindness. And diabetes management, so managing your health. That's being fit. Being mentally fit, right? because you can be fit in body physically, but mentally, not so much. And sometimes in those football games, they're not mentally fit. That's why they lose sometimes, because they choke, right? I'm not going to mention no team names at all. Right, yes. Because I might be lynched myself because I'm an Alabama fan. No, I'm joking. Because Melissa's sitting right there. No, actually, I'm a Cowboys fan. That's the team I go for, is the Cowboys. I'm not into college football, but I support the Cowboys. So. Yes, the Cowboys. Oh. So, whatever team you support, they got to be mentally tough. You got to be physically tough. So, I know, right? I say that to anybody who's not a Cowboys fan, yes. So Curtis Tillman is going to be heading up our efforts on sports and recreation. One of the things we did in sports recreation, as well as we helped to establish a new organization called the Tri-State Adaptive Sports Association. What is the Tri-State Adaptive Sports Association? Well, it used to be the Tennessee Association of Blind Athletes Memphis Club. And they had a parting of the ways, and they wanted to expand what they do to not only blind individuals, but also to people with disabilities as a whole, as a community. Because their opportunities for sports and recreation are just as limited as sometimes they are for us. So they have broadened their outreach, and I am proud to say that they are now incorporated as a organization within the state of Tennessee. And they just submitted their EIN. They've got their EIN, and they're applying for 501c3 status. So it's an organization that I look forward to partnering with, hopefully, on some of our sports and recreational activities. Because we did talk about money, right? Yeah, always. Hey, we're going to split some of that cost, hopefully. The National Federation of the Blind, and as we call it, TASA, will work together, hopefully, to continue sports and recreational opportunities. So we look forward to having those new initiatives being built in the next year. Our at-large group, hopefully, will continue to grow as Josh Harper will be doing our at-large group. Our at-large group, what does it do, guys? Help me out. What does at-large do? What does it mean? Great. Sharon got it. It's for members who are not close enough to a regular chapter or cannot attend a regular chapter to go to a meeting. We are a long, skinny state. And did we mention that transportation is an issue? Not only if you live in the city, but especially if you're in rural parts of the state. Or if you work 9 to 5 or at night or on the weekends, you might not be able to commit the time and go to a meeting. But we want you to stay connected. We want you to be able to get the same support you would get at a chapter meeting. And we are using our mentor in that process as well with Joe Ruffalo from New Jersey. He is working with us to get that going, to mentor us along the way. And finally, on that note, unfortunately, it is my duty to report to you that one of our chapters has decided to dissolve in April. The Northeast chapter, headed by Joy Gouge, informed me that they will be dissolving. But they're not dissolving and they're not leaving the organization. What it means is they are hopefully going to reorganize, and in the meantime, they will join our at-large group, and they will stay connected. We will ensure that to the organization. And when they reorganize and they're ready to build it again, we will be there to help support them in the Northeast area of the state of Tennessee when they venture forward to reorganize and build another chapter. So sometimes you have to dissolve things to change and make them better. So those are some of the changes that we have going on that will happen in April. And my last duty, before I turn the mic over to our next presenter, is to welcome all of our first timers. So if you're a first timer for convention, give a round of applause. Hey, there you go. All right. So next year, the challenge for every member, and y'all have heard us say it sometimes, is, what is it, Joe? Each one bring one. What does that mean? Each of you brings someone else to a convention that has never been before. Invite them to a chapter meeting and bring them to your chapter meeting, because everybody here got invited to attend something somewhere. Whether you got invited to come to convention or to your chapter meeting or to a division meeting, you got an invitation. And that's the simplest way to get people to join our movement, is to invite them in. Thank you. I'm ending now. I am 20 minutes over. So that being said, I am on schedule, which means they won't eat. No. So that being said, next year I hope to see even a larger group. We will be back hopefully in the middle of the state. It's 2020. So this is the 50th year. We want to grow our affiliates. So each one, bring one, right? Or two or three. There you go. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to address you. I will, as James says, try to have a theme next year to my speech. And I promise you it won't be so long-winded. So thank you very much. Oh, I feel so much better now. Okay. All right. Can we get a door prize real quick while our next speaker comes up?
Yeah, we have an East Side Braille calendar for Gino Hall Sr.
Gino Hall Sr. All right. Is he here?
His wife is.
But she cannot claim it for him, unfortunately. It's the policy of this organization, unfortunately.
All right. Next name is Emily Nelson, who is not here.
All right, keep on going.
Robert Christie.
Robert Christie, now he was in the room. Are you here? Yeah. All right.
Okay, stand up, Robert.
Stand up and be counted there.
Where are you?
Got him? Raise it high. If you want it, you better come get it.
To my left.
I lost it.
All righty. So we are next up. Our next portion of it is from the starting blocks to the finishing line, 50 years at the Tennessee School for the Blind, by Judy Denning from our Nashville chapter. Miss Judy, come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you've ever attended as a student at the Tennessee School for the Blind, clap on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Wow, a bunch of you here. Okay, I was a student there for 12 years, all the way from first to graduation, and I taught there later for 20 years. So I've already seen 3 of my former students. I saw Willie Wells and H.K. Derryberry and Alicia Perkins, and there may be some more here that I haven't seen yet. If any of my students are here, I hope they'll find me. Okay. To talk about TSB would be to go back 175 years. The legislature voted in 1844 to establish a Tennessee School for the Blind, and it's been in existence now for 175 wonderful years. I first became associated with him as a 6-year-old first grader in the year 1952, and if you're pretty good at math, you can probably figure out that I'm in the senior group.
You're looking great. You're looking great.
John Harris says I'm still looking good, so thank you, John. Okay, to talk about how things have changed since then, and that's a little more than 50 years, but I'll start from there because that's where my association with school started. I grew up in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. That's my hometown, just down the road from here. You pass the exit. If you came from Memphis and Nashville, you passed the exit about 20 miles back as you came over here. So this is home country to me up here, East Tennessee. I love it. But I was in kindergarten when I was 5 in the Oak Ridge public school system. And at the end of the kindergarten year, the school officials called my parents in and had a talk with them, and they said, we cannot enroll your child in Oak Ridge Public Schools because we do not have the expertise to teach her. Her vision is so low. Now, I had an older brother, and he and I both inherited congenital cataracts from our father. My brother had been in what they called at that time the sight saving program, which was a special teacher that worked with the kids with low vision and got large print books for them and so forth. Some of you probably familiar with that. But they said I did not qualify for that because my vision was so low that they could not enroll me in the school of Oak Ridge. So my parents, they said, no, there is a school for the blind. It's in Nashville, Tennessee, and they've just built a new campus. It's wonderful over there, you know. The school, that was the year that the school moved from Hermitage Avenue out to Donaldson. Was brand new facilities, swimming pool, bowling alley, gymnasium, playground, dormitories, everything was brand new, beautiful campus. So my parents said, well, you know, we've got a choice. You know, we've either got to send her there or she won't go to school because, you know, that was it. That was the choice. So they came over to Nashville, made a trip over to see the facility. And of course, my mother being a mother of a 6-year-old, you know, she was a little reluctant, but my father was a little older and wiser. And as a partial-sighted person himself, he, you know, realized that education was what was going to give me a better life. So the summer went on, and by fall, he and the Lord above together had convinced my mother, and they brought me to Donaldson, to the beautiful new school. And I cried my way through the first year and got every childhood disease there was, my mother said. But anyway, that was 1952. Of course, the laws have changed considerably since that time. And now a school system can't say that to parents because of the laws, because of the way things have changed. And so, you know, it's a different world today, right? Right. But the Tennessee School for the Blind is still a great school. It's still doing a wonderful service, educating blind children. And for the 20 years that I was a teacher there, part of my job, I was the choral director for the high school chorus, and I took them out every chance I got to sing because, I felt like we were a public relations group, and everywhere that I could take them to let people see what they could do, I was convincing somebody in the audience of what blind people can do. And I always got to do a little talking about the school and the programs that we had, the sports program, music program, the academic program, all the different things, and answering any questions that people had about school. So talking about TSB is one of my favorite things to do, to talk about TSB. So when Christina asked me if I'd do this, I said, well, sure, because I'm a big believer in TSB and also in NFB. I was involved in NFB during Lev Williams' time of presidency. As a matter of fact, I was his secretary for 5 or 6 years. I don't know what happened to those records because I turned them over to the next secretary, Christina. Don't know where they went from there, but somebody's house. Lev Williams was an inspiration to me. One of the things I remember that he said was, we can always disagree without becoming disagreeable. And I've thought of that so many times, you know, that was one of the things. He taught me many things. I had the opportunity to go down to the legislature with him a couple of times when he came to Nashville, and I was just in awe. Whoever said he could have been a lawyer, you're right. But I'm glad he was a teacher because he really did a wonderful job, and there's no greater job in the world than being a teacher, I can tell you. But anyway, back to TSB. It's a wonderful school. If you know of any children who need us. They're there. Of course, I'm not there now. I retired in the spring of 2016, but I'm still very much involved with the school as an alumnus. And of course, by the time I got to that graduation time, I was crying again because I'd made such wonderful friends. And those friends are still lifelong friends, the ones that I made going to school there. They're my dearest and lifelong friends, like sisters and brothers. And my husband used to say, I thought of this morning when you were talking about all the presidents and the contributions. He was a teacher at TSB as well, Robert Denning. Some of you may have been in his classes in industrial arts if you went to TSB. But one of his quotes that he loved to say was from Copernicus, the scientist, who said, "If I am able to stand tall, it's because I stand on the shoulders of giants." And Christina, you stand on the shoulders of giants.
I
You do. And unless you have any specific questions or about TSB, or you can look me up. I'm Judy, and I'll be around all weekend. And there's a need. My grandson's girlfriend told me the other day. She said, "I've got a friend who has a 1-year-old son, and they've just found out that he'll never be able to see." And I told her that you used to be a teacher at the school, and maybe you could help her, because they wanted him started early. And I said, "Bring her over here. Let me talk to them. Let me get them, going early." And so if there's still a need, and we're going to keep going forward. The building blocks are there, but the finish line's way out ahead. We're still going strong. Thank you very much.
All righty, great job, Miss Judy. Yes, the Tennessee School for the Blind is still going well and strong, and we'll have some great graduates coming out. We have one of our own, Josh Harper, teaching there, so we still got some great members, and we know that as much as they can, our philosophy will spread, hopefully within the school. So next up, we have a great friend of the Federation. She's been on many a time on our microphone, and she's given us some great information. It is Ruth Hemphill. She's going to talk about from records to digital media, 50 years at the Tennessee Library for the Blind.
I'm going to put this
Go right
microphone
ahead.
on the stand
Go right
if I
ahead.
can, because I'll probably drop it if I don't. And that would not be good. Josh, can you raise and help me a little? Got it. Perfect. Thank you. I was really excited when Christina called and wanted me to talk about the 50 years at the library. I have not been there all the 50 years, but because I know I come and say a lot of the same things over and over and over again. And there's always new people in the audience, and I always get lots of questions, and that's great. But I know some of you have heard this ad nauseum. So this might be slightly different. 1969 was obviously a very good year. But I'm going to step back 1 year from that, because in 1968, the Tennessee State Library and Archives hired a woman by the name of Frances Ezell, some of you may remember her, to coordinate and start a library for the blind in Tennessee. Prior to that, people who needed audio and braille books got them from, I believe, Ohio, somewhere out of state at any rate. And we have had a little bit of a disagreement at the library about when the library actually started. Some people say we should use 1968 as the anniversary date. Some people say we should use 1969 because that was when the legislature supplied funds. Sometimes 1971, but I say 1971 because that's when we started loaning out audiobooks and players. But something else happened in 1968 books started to be recorded on audio cassettes. Before that, it was records. And I do have some in our booth, unless someone's walked by and picked them up. I do have some of our books on records and some of an early record player too, to show you if you aren't familiar with it. Next step was in 1975. It's not technically part of the library, but I'm sure it was really important to people who lived in Middle Tennessee and quite a ways out too. The Nashville Public Library started the Nashville, what they call the Nashville Talking Library, which sometimes causes confusion, but that was a way of broadcasting a newspaper, the Nashville Tennessean, over the radio throughout Middle Tennessee. And now I have to take a little side note here. I'm going to talk about myself a little, even though, I'm supposed to be talking about the library. But in 1977, I became a branch librarian at a small town in central Missouri. We don't call it in Missouri, we call it central Missouri. And as that branch librarian, I was in charge of doing anywhere from 2 to 4 story times a week. And I don't know if you're familiar with preschool story times, but they involved, you read them a story. In fact, at one point in time, I had green eggs and ham memorized. Not anymore, but I did. You do a craft project, you show a movie or a film strip. Is there anyone in here that doesn't know what a film strip is? Film strip. Okay, good. Basically, it's slides on a film, and the sound for it is on a record. And every once in a while in the record, there's a tone which tells the person operating the projector that it's time to change the slide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, technology was really uptown then. And the record player we used was this nice record player that the library had in this really nice plastic case, and I was happy using it. I didn't know it was a talking book player. I thought it was a record player, which it was. I noticed that it had, that real slow RPM movement on it, but I didn't use it and I didn't ask questions. Okay, back to the library in 1979. Back when the library was first opened and started circulating books, I forgot to mention that it was housed in a warehouse on Centennial Boulevard in Nashville. It was the former Tennessee Tufting Warehouse, which sounds like mattresses to me, but I'm not sure. If anyone knows, let me know. But then in 1979, the Tennessee Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped moved their collections and staff down to a former Sears building on Church Street in downtown Nashville. Might sound ideal. When I came to Nashville in 1999, one of the staff was still working there. Her name was Wanda Shepard, and she told me that building had no air conditioning and no heat. And she actually says she remembers wearing gloves with the fingers cut out so she could type on her typewriter. She has since retired, but she's still in Nashville. Another side note, in 1979, I earned my master's degree in library science from the University of Missouri. Guess what my research paper was on? It wasn't a thesis, thank God, but it was a research paper. It was developing a directory of volunteer organizations in the state of Missouri that recorded materials for the blind. And we were so, technology. I conducted a telephone survey and asked for referrals, and I got quite a few. Now, as I said, it was not a thesis, but I'm proud to say it was bound and it's on the collections of the University of Missouri Library. I still didn't know that the record player I was still using for story time, because I got my master's while I was working, was a talking book player. However, I had met several people that worked at the Library for the Blind, which at that time was located in St. Louis, and they talked about books on records and books on cassettes, but I hadn't seen anything. I guess since I did my paper on that, it was destiny that I'd start working in the Library for the Blind field. In 1984, the National Library Service released a cassette player called the E1 machine. Some of you may or may not remember it, and unfortunately, I don't have a sample of that. It was a cassette player that a person who had limited manual dexterity could get the cassette put in, and they could play all 4 sides, because it was a 4-sided cassette. And trust me, when I first heard about 4-sided cassettes, I thought they must be a square block, but they aren't. And without having to change out the cassettes and flip them over numerous times and change side selector switch. It was designed specifically for that. It was a little smaller than the 4-track cassette player the library was loaning out. However, it did not have a battery, so it had to be plugged in all the time. The assumption was, I guess, that a person with manual dexterity probably wouldn't be, problems like that might not be terribly mobile. But it was a good player, and it was very popular, especially with people who had, in addition to manual dexterity problems, people who had memory loss and couldn't remember the complicated steps to turn over the cassette player 3 or 4 times. My last side note here. In 1987, I started working at the Wolfner Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped in Jefferson City, Missouri. And that's when I learned that that record player I had been using was a talking book machine. In 1992, NLS introduced a combination cassette and record player. Now, books on cassette had been being produced since, what did I say, 1968. And so there were a lot of people who were borrowing both books and books on cassette, and they had 2 bulky machines in their room, and they would rather have just one player. And NLS did a lot of research, and they developed a fabulous player. Of course, it was 1992, and most people were listening to books on cassette, not so much to books on record anymore, although magazines were still on record. So the combination machine wasn't nearly as popular as NLS expected it to be, but I do have one if you'd like to check it out. One big advantage of a combination machine was that you could speed up the narration on the records in addition to on the cassettes. Of course, those of you who used books on cassettes remember that if you speeded up the narration, it was kind of Mickey Mouse talking. But a lot of people did that, including me. Since I've been working in the library for the blind, they let me use one, and it's really nice when I'm driving all over the state of Tennessee to be able to listen to a talking book while I'm driving. And I would speed them up too, because if you're waiting to see if the true love is really going to be developing between these characters, you don't want to wait as long as it takes to narrate. Times, but they did not carry the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. If I had been able to use Newsline, which I'm not, I could have still read the St. Louis Post-Dispatch no matter where I was. So I'm very thrilled with Newsline. Another development, in 1996, the Chafee Amendment passed. Now, some of you may not be terribly familiar with the Chafee Amendment, because what it did was eliminate the requirement that the Library of Congress had to go through getting copyright permission to produce books in Braille and audio formats. And that was really big for us, because that copyright permission could sometimes take a really long time. It really expedited the process of getting newer books into circulation. And one big thing it did, we had not had the George Orwell's book 1984 in our collection. 1984 is required reading often for school. It's a classic. Everybody wants to read it. I don't remember when it first came out, but we did not have it. Pardon?
1948.
Okay, 1948. This is 1994, 96, and we still didn't have it because the copyright holder would not grant permission. After the Chafee Amendment, we got it pretty quickly. In 1997, they started converting the recorded magazines from those flexible discs Christina mentioned. I couldn't find when we first started using flexible discs. And by this, I mean records that were real, not floppy computer discs, but they were really flexible. And I have some of those over there too, if you're interested. They started finally converting magazines from flexible discs to cassettes, which everyone was quite happy about, because that meant they didn't really have to have that extra record player anymore. In 1999, production of audiobooks on records finally was discontinued. We weren't using them anymore, but we still kept circulating them. Some of them hadn't been put onto cassette. I think I've lost my place. Yes?
Oh, I remember you. This is Malika. I called you for meetings before.
Yeah, you call me frequently.
Well, I have to. I'm not.
Yeah, I appreciate it too.
No problem.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. I'm just wondering if you were the same.
I am the same with you.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, eventually, I'm just gonna talk a little bit spontaneous here because I lost some of my notes at the period, but in 1990, the National Library Service stopped recording audiobooks in analog format and started recording them digitally. We weren't quite ready to go to distributing digital books yet because we didn't have the player, but that was in anticipation of being able to get digital books. That started in 2008. There's my place. Anyway, in 2009, we finally got some digital book players and some digital books. Our first shipment of the digital book players was a shipment of 25. And of course, people had been hearing at conferences all over and for years that they were working on digital book players who wouldn't have to have 4-track cassettes anymore, wouldn't have to worry about it. We had over 250 people on the waiting list. So it was kind of a tough call, except NLS reminded us that traditionally our program had given priority to veterans in the provision of service. So veterans were the people who got the first 25, the people that we have on record as veterans. And I know a lot of people sign up for the service and don't tell us they're veterans. They should. But it doesn't really affect a whole lot except in situations like this. We also prioritized senior citizens, people who are over 100, and then we went from there and gradually added more and more. Now we have plenty of digital players, both kinds. We have two kinds. We have the advanced player and the standard player. So it's in approximately 2010, I think, and some of you may be able to correct me on this, the BARD website was developed. BARD's a wonderful thing. It stands for Braille and Audio Reading Download, as you know. And eventually BARD Mobile came about. This allows people to download their books, both Braille and audio, and play them if they're using audio. They can download to a USB drive and play them on our player. They can download them now with the advance of with the coming of BARD Mobile. They can play them on a tablet. They can play them on a Kindle. They can play them on a smartphone. So our audiobooks are much more portable. Now, sighted people always ask me, what do you mean you can download and play a Braille book on a Kindle? I have to explain that you have to have a refreshable Braille display or a Braille embosser, and that Braille, through web Braille, has been around since before the turn of the century. So people who read Braille are way ahead in technology than people who use audio. Okay. Now we're moving up to closer to present day. In 2018, we had a big name change. Does anyone know what our new name is?
National Library for
Accessible
Media.
We kind of got a combination of several people here. The official name is the Tennessee Library for Accessible Books and Media. And if you come by the booth, our tablecloth says that now. But we still answer the other one, and sometimes I have to confess, I've been saying Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped for over 20 years, so sometimes that still falls out of my mouth pretty easily. We have some other changes coming. The state of Tennessee, the legislature approved funds for a new Tennessee State Library and Archives building, and it is under construction. It is a little more than a hole in the ground right now. They're starting to put up, pylons and walls and such. And the Library for Accessible Books and Media will be moved into that. The planned completion date is mid-2020. It originally was late 2019, and then it was early 2020. Now it's mid-2020. So you know how that construction goes.
Yeah.
In anticipation of that move, we do changed some of our processes of collecting things. Our Braille collection took up over half of our shelf space. And I don't know how many people in this room read Braille, but I know. And I'm really pleased with the Federation for their Braille program. It's a wonderful thing. I feel very strongly about Braille. However, it was a very small percentage of our usership and circulation. And we could not justify keeping that much shelf space in the new building for books that did not circulate and were not used. Especially since we could easily get them from elsewhere and get them shipped here. So we have contracted with Perkins School for the Blind. I know some of you are familiar with that. They have a huge Braille collection, and they actually do sometimes produce additional books in Braille besides what NLS produces. So, and as far as I know, that's working fairly well. We didn't really announce it. Some people seem to think you all wouldn't notice I knew better, but you know, sighted people, they don't know, blind people. I said, okay, all it takes is one person and then they will talk. We are also not planning to move our audio collection to the new building as a collection itself. And you're thinking, how am I going to get my audio books if I don't do Bard or I don't want to do Bard? And you don't have to. We're moving to something called duplication on demand. If any of you have tried what we like to call a PCC, it stands for patron-centric cartridge is what it officially stands for. And I have one that was made for me. It has multiple titles on it. And that way, if you're reading all the books in a series and you want to read them one after that, we can put them all. We put up to 10 books on a cartridge. That way you don't have so many cartridges in your house. We're working toward, we've got a lot of people working, trying it out, and we haven't established totally the policies of how many PCCs a patron can have. If you do not want to do that, though, if you want to keep getting one book for cartridge, we can do that too, and we will be doing that too. In other words, we're moving big boxes of blank cartridges instead of having to sort them and shelve them and put them on the shelf in appropriate order and find them. Once we get in the new building, if we want to find a book, it will always be on the shelf. We'll just download it and make a cartridge and send it to you, just like you do if you use Bard. We also have had some other changes, and I know I'm running out of time, but I'm almost finished. Some of you may have received our newly revamped newsletter. The newsletter, Window to the World, has been a, random publication. The people who collect these in the state library that, for historic purposes, really get frustrated with us because we say it comes out quarterly, and it might come out quarterly for a year or two, and then there's a big and then it comes out quarterly, and then it comes once or twice a year, and then there's a big gap. We finally redesigned and reissued it in January. I hope you all got it. We issue that in large print to every patron, whether they want that format or not. We also can issue it in audio format on a cartridge or in Braille. If you'd like a different format, just call us and ask for it. We don't automatically do that because we don't know which of you wants Braille and which of you wants audio. And we have a lot of people that only reach large print too. And it's much more expensive in those alternate formats, as you know. But all you have to do is ask, and we'll add you to the mailing list. In this issue, we included a patron survey. Some of you, I'm sure, responded. We really appreciate all the responses. As of today, yesterday, we had over 700 people respond to the newsletter. The survey, that is fabulous, and we're very happy. Now, there was a little confusion because state bureaucracy is wonderful, and we thought we'd have it out in November, and we asked you that you respond by January 10th. Well, it didn't go out until after January 10th. So trust me, we are still tallying it. The deadline was kind of just to encourage people to go ahead and respond. I know I myself, if I have a deadline, I'm doing it the day before. I worked up this outline last night, so it's good to have a deadline. We have also had some staff changes. Some longtime staff members retired last spring. Annette Hadley, some of you know her as Annette Garrett, retired last spring after over 30 years as a reader advisor. Ron Gross, you may not have known because he worked in our circulation department, but he retired after over 30 years with the staff. And we have a new reader advisor in Annette's place. His name is Ben Wicks. When I first came to Tennessee in 1999, someone told me that men couldn't be reader advisors. We've had 3 male reader advisors since then. We have, in Ron's place, we changed the job description and hired a man by the name of Eric Rains. We went ahead and hired him because he has some technical recording background, and he is going to be heading our new recording studio that we're going to have in the new building to record local materials. We also have a new administrative assistant who started this past week. Her name is Danelle Scruton. We also have reorganized our reader advisor duties. In the past, if your last name started with H, that would be me. My reader advisor would have been Kathy Bale. If your last name started with C, Christina Clift, your reader advisor would have been Erin Erin Langford, actually. She was Erin Savage, but she got married and changed her name. And each reader advisor, when they got new applications, would call the patron and introduce them to the library. And then that would be the person maintaining your records. Of course, what happened when that person was not available? Maybe they were on vacation. Maybe they were on the honeymoon. Maybe they were on another phone call. We take their name and number and call you back. So what we're doing now is we've designated Kathy Bale as our intake reader advisor. And that means any new application we get, she calls because she knows the service and can explain it so well that anyone can get it. And she's very enthusiastic. I'm always amazed at 4:30 on Friday afternoon, she's talking to a newspaper and she's still excited about telling about the service. And she's been talking about it 5 days a week. And she's still enthusiastic and excited. And I have to admit that I'm not sure I could do that. And when you say the same thing over and over all day long for 5 days, sometimes it becomes kind of rote. Just like you hear the same thing from me every year. The other reader advisors and myself are answering the phone, answering your questions, taking your requests, putting them in. I won't say you can't talk to Kathy if you want to, but she's hard to get because she's always on the phone talking. That's about all I have. I think that has us up to date. I do appreciate your participating in our survey. I hope when we get into our new building, you'll come visit us, but I hope you come visit us before we move too, because the building we're in now, it's old. It's as old as I am. It's old. It's not tech savvy, but it's a gorgeous building. And so I hope you come visit us. Oh, thank you.
Just like you, yeah.
Where's our building now?
Yeah.
It's in Nashville, 403 7th Avenue North, just right to the west of the state capitol building. I thought you did.
Thank you.
Oh, and I'll be here till tomorrow, so if you have questions and I have a booth out there if materials haven't walked away.
Oh, thank you.
All righty. So next up, we're going to talk about money real quick. And I know we are running late. Yes, I've been told. But we're going to try to make it up. So coming up next is Lee Rogers. She's going to talk about scholarships for success, world services for the blind.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Christina. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. I'm the admissions coordinator at World Services for the Blind. We are a vocational and life skills training school based in Little Rock, Arkansas. We've served over 14,000 students from all 50 states and over 50 countries since our inception in 1947. And I just wanted to give you guys kind of a brief overview of all of our programs that we offer, as well as our newest Scholarship for Success program. But I wanted to start out by telling you a story. Recently, we had a client who lost his vision and came to WSB to receive independent living-based training and then move into a vocational training like many of our clients. He chose the Assistive Technology Instructor program once he had completed his pre-vocational training. A few months before his graduation date, he was recruited by the state of Oregon to become an assistive technology instructor. He completed our program online while moving to Oregon and successfully works full-time for the state of Oregon as an assistive technology instructor. This is only one example of many success stories of visually impaired and blind adults who come to WSB and achieve their goals and create the life that they want. We are doing things differently than the WSB you may have heard of before. We help students get sustainable independence by gaining employment and the skills that they need. And our programs are very flexible to meet your needs because we do offer so many of them online now. And we recently announced the Scholarship for Success program. Because of recent legislation changes, we know that getting funding for life skills training from your vocational rehabilitation counselor can be difficult or impossible. We also know how important it is to receive those life skills training like orientation and mobility or home management or Braille. The Success Fund was established at WSB by an anonymous donor to allow those who cannot access services to empower themselves to take charge of their own destiny. This fund was established to allow those who cannot receive funding to have access to the services that we provide. And there are a few admissions qualifications for this scholarship, including a letter from your vocational rehabilitation stating why you were denied services and an essay saying why you would benefit from these programs. We have a wide range of life skills training available. We offer training in assistive technology, Braille.
Yes, turn it off. Josh, did you turn her off?
He got up.
Keep on going.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know what that's.
Sorry, I'm not a very loud speaker. We have keyboarding, techniques of daily living, and so much more. Each class is catered to what you feel you need, whether it's that is working towards a vocational program of gaining more independent skills. Sorry, I'm not great at projecting my voice.
It's on now.
It's on now?
It sounds like it's on.
Oh, okay. Is it working now?
Yes.
No. No?
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
How about now?
There you go. You have to speak closer.
Okay. So like I was saying, we have a lot of different life skills training available. For example, in our orientation and mobility classes, students will learn the campus as our campus takes up an entire city block. But they'll also learn the city of Little Rock, any places that they want to go, especially we'll cater it to where areas that are similar to where you live, whether that's in Tennessee or elsewhere. In our techniques of daily living class, students will learn to enhance their home management skills from cooking to cleaning an apartment. We have a simulated apartment setting where the students take the class and take cooking classes. And students will also take a variety of communication classes where they will learn Braille or use low vision aids depending on their vision, as well as classes focusing on technology that could benefit them in terms of communication. And our assistive technology training is individualized to what the student needs, and based on their vision abilities, we tailor the program to what you need, whether that's help with your computer, your iPhone, or anything else related to assistive technology. Students will also take a dedicated keyboarding class. And our Braille classes are taught to people who have never used Braille or to really advanced readers as well. And we also offer adjustment to blindness counseling and vocational evaluations and counseling if you're not really sure what program you're interested in doing. But if you would like to go into a vocational program, we've got so many options, and we really want to help you achieve the life that you want by offering a wide range of vocational programs, either at our campus in Little Rock or online, as many of our programs are now offered online. And we currently have 10 vocational programs to choose from. We have a wide variety of programs ranging from technology to becoming a certified massage therapist. And while we are based in Arkansas, like I said, you don't even have to leave your house to get vocational training. Our online courses do require excellent assistive technology and communication skills, but if you're not there yet, we can also help you in getting the skills that you need. And our most popular program right now is the Assistive Technology Instructor Program. Our Assistive Technology Instructor Program helps students with the skills necessary to become an effective, highly employable assistive technology instructor. This program is unique in that you will learn all of the technology necessary to become certified in various assistive technologies. But you will also be teaching the technology to other blind and visually impaired adults attending World Services for the Blind or elsewhere, as this program is available online. Study topics ranging from computer fundamentals to advanced teaching theory. This program puts a strong focus on the practical application of skills and the reality of today's workforce. There are several job fields a student completing this program could go into, including an assistive technology support technician, an assistive technology instructor, or even a website accessibility consultant. On the other end of the vocational spectrum, we have our newest program, which is in certified massage therapy. The profession of massage therapy is growing rapidly with a projected employment increase in 26% in the next 10 years. World Services for the Blind's newest licensed massage therapist certification program is designed to meet that demand. By training certified massage therapists, the program will address the industry's need for professionals while helping people who are blind and visually impaired gain employment. And massage therapists work in a wide variety of environments. You could have your own practice, which is the largest percentage of people, or you could work in a client's home or business, a healthcare setting, or even a spa setting. We partner with a local massage therapy school in Arkansas to complete this program, but one of the instructors there is visually impaired and knows how to teach the massage therapy techniques to those of us who are blind and visually impaired. And you also will become licensed in the state of Arkansas, but with many states, that, including Tennessee, there's reciprocity, so it's a very easy process to become certified to be a massage therapist in different states. Another very popular program we have is our Certified Credit Counselor program. In the Certified Credit Counselor program, students will earn 5 certifications across various areas of financial health. Students study and certify in the areas of credit counseling, debt settlement, financial health, student loan counselor, and housing counselor. The 6th certification is optional, financial and career coach, and unlike the first 5, this certification requires practical hours of counseling and coaching in addition to the tests. This program is also available online and is a very popular choice. Another popular choice for online study is our Microsoft Office Specialist program. In the Microsoft Office Specialist program, you will learn certifications in all of the Microsoft Office products, for example, PowerPoint, Excel, that sort of thing. This program is self-paced, has instructional times and group activities throughout the course. And this program prepares students to go work in an office setting. Our Service Employment and Technology course teaches a broad spectrum of technology while addressing customer service skills, all of which are vital in the workplace. This program consists of call center training, general customer service training, and training in the use of JAWS for Windows and VoiceOver for Mac. Being skilled in the above aspects will provide a student with the ability to function in a customer service position with not only soft skills and general call center skills, but intensive training in the technologies used by companies worldwide. In this course, the students spend half their days in technology training and half of their days in customer service training. In addition to the Service Employment and Technology Specialist program, you can further your study with the Office Essentials program. This course covers the Microsoft Office programs, the assistive technology, as well as customer service practices. This program is the perfect stepping stone in finding a career in an office environment. But if you're really interested in computers and technology, the Desktop Support Technician program may be for you. Our Desktop Support Technician program isn't your typical IT class. Tailored toward the blind and visually impaired, this class is a self-paced introduction to the world of IT. Students are given the tools and resources to guide them on their path to certification while working alongside the organization's IT department to gain real-world, hands-on practical experience. So if you're a student in this class, you will not only learn everything you need to become certified, you'll also be working and fixing the school's computers. Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, And we also offer many summer programs if you're a high school aged student or if you know any high school aged blind and visually impaired students. They'll take a 3-credit hour class at the local university and also gain real world skills and living in a dorm setting. But that's just a brief overview of some of our programs. I'm out at the expo if you have any questions or you're interested in what we have to offer. And I appreciate the time.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, boy, yeah. Okay,
just,
there we go. Got it. I flipped it.
Thank you, Lee. I know that scholarship success will help individuals who are seniors or whoever they may be to access services that they are denied from vocational rehab. I know that is one of the qualifications. And so I know we'll send you some folks probably from our area. We hopefully will figure out other ways to replicate that same type of model to get people the services that they need. So next up we have passing the torch. Whoops, sorry, had to get my own agenda right there. So it says scholarship. Okay, it says passing the baton to our future through scholarships by John Harris.
Good morning. Morning. Big Mouth John. All right. It's good to be back and this year to give to award scholarships. We had a great year, and Dr. Carter's going to present and talk about that, but as well as present we're still working. We haven't decided our group yet, but we had 9. Think about this. We had 9 applicants applied this year. That's a huge number in a long time. We've been 2 and 3 and been having to fight to get us away, but 9 people applied this year. 7 were eligible, and we're gonna give away all 3 scholarships this year this evening. But yeah, not now. We're still working on deciding. That's what happens when you get 9. You throw away 2, you got 7, get down to 3. We got to decide which 3 are going to get which one. And one of the exciting things I think that I like that we did is that we did make a couple of changes in the situation this year. One, we took the affiliate was grateful enough to gracious enough for others to give us. We're going to make we'll be giving a $1,000 one. $750 and a $500 instead of $1,000 and 2 $500. We're gonna do that. So thanks to you all for giving, for adding $250 to our budget, and so I think that's great. And I'm gonna just get out of the way and let Dr. Carter come and do it, because she's been doing a great job leading up to now, and it's an honor to be. If you're looking for a committee to get on in the future, this is one of the greatest ones, because this is one that when you give when you're doing this, you know the thing that you're doing will work, because these are things that people really need. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am proud to be able to work on the scholarship committee, and we have 3 great applicants that we're going to present to you this morning. First of all, is Tadeja Little here? Tadeja Little. Okay, we don't see her. Okay, so what we said we're going to do with these applicants is I'm going to ask each of them to present themselves, to tell one thing, a little bit about themselves. Number 2, how will the scholarship help them? And number 3, what is something that they have learned that they can take away, wish to take away from this experience thus far? We know that the convention is not over yet, but I still want you to just hear a little bit from them. And I know we're running late, so I'm going to give them 3 minutes each. So we're going to go ladies first. So we'll have Roxanne Lewis, and she's going to present herself. Make her feel welcome as she comes.
Yes. So good morning, and I am really honored to be one of the contestants for this, and one that is in line for this scholarship. I appreciate all that you all have done. I am a student at University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. I have gone back at a very late age, but I did not know all of this was available for years until I met a new eye doctor, and it proceeded from there. And I will say, one in the back has really encouraged me with everything. He's taught me the JAWS. And he also finally was the one that got me to admit I'm blind, because people would say, "You're blind." No, I can see. And
How many fingers am I holding up?
So,
Don't you mess with my contestants.
but I did do his group counseling, and he's actually the one that's got me here today. He got me into NFB. He encourages me along the way. And the one thing I guess taking away from this is, learning, as our thing says, learning to live the life I want. It encouraged, being around all of you is giving me the more courage to be able to just keep going, to keep doing what I'm wanting to do, to meet my end goal of my degree, which my degree is in foreign languages, specifically Spanish. And no, I'm into learning the vocabulary. So that's okay. And that's good. And my minor is in communications. So I guess today getting up in front of you is a step forward in my communications part. But I thank all of you.
Thank you.
Our next candidate for scholarship is Seth Painter. Make him feel welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Seth Painter. I'm very happy to be here. This is my first convention, and it certainly won't be my last.
All right.
So I'm Seth. I'm 18, and I am a graduating senior of Houston High School, going on to University of Alabama in Huntsville to study software engineering and cybersecurity. I would first like to thank everybody who's making this convention. It's amazing. I had no idea that all this existed, and it's truly a great experience to be here. And I'd like to thank everybody who donated to fund this scholarship and fund my education. So the question that was asked was, what is one thing that someone we could take away from here? And well, first of all, there's a lot to unpack there. This is, like I said, it's such a great experience, such a great first convention. And what I've felt here is that what he said earlier, we stand on the shoulders of giants. I've never felt that more true than now. Seeing all the amazing people who have helped to pass legislation that have, gotten not just me to where I am, but all of them that came before me. I like I said, I've never felt that more. When I first left the School for the Blind in 6th grade, I felt like a Tweety bird being kicked out of the nest, landing on the snout of a hungry crocodile, and cutting through, going to a big public school full of all kinds of people who didn't know what I was doing there, probably thought I was some kind of idiot running into all the walls, and here I felt like so among friends, among family here. And I think another thing I can take away from here is that I can give back. You know, I know I'm not the only one who has had that experience. I know coming here, you know, I wish I would have discovered it years ago, and I think that I have much to share with those who come after me. So, and so, you know, I want to, of course, work with the organization, volunteering in whatever way I can to help those who come after me. And I would just like to, you know, thank everyone who's making this convention possible. It's been a great experience. Thank you.
Now, Huntsville, Alabama has a campus in New Jersey.
I just want to let you all know the committee consisted of myself and Mr. John Harris and Greg Self, and we just thank you all for entrusting us with this task. And you will find out more at banquet tonight. So that's a surprise. Thank you.
Alrighty, for those naysayers who thought we weren't gonna break for lunch on time, well, I got a surprise for you. Yes, we are. So we are gonna do a slight tweak to the agenda to make sure you guys get to lunch, but please make sure that you are in your seats at 2:00 for our national representative and our great, wait, flipped on me, sorry. And our great presentations this afternoon. So we're gonna end with one last door prize from Shannon before you break for lunch, because who knows, you might get another gift card or some money. So Miss Shannon. Are we good?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Whoa. We have 2 tumblers from the Knoxville chapter, and they are for Terry Woodard.
Is Terry in here? Yeah, here.
Which one, Terry? Which one?
Woodard.
Woodard.
Terry Woodard.
He's here.
There he is.
Thank you.
Right over here. Got tumblers.
You got tumblers.
You got cartwheels and.
Go. It should be on.
All right, everyone, we heard this morning a lot of things that the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee is doing. So how do we do that? What does it take to get the job done?
Money.
Money. Okay. Christina called me several months ago and she goes, "Will you head up fundraising?" And I went, okay. So, and most of you know I'm a Randolph Shepherd vendor and I can sell just about anything. Okay. So we have decided, Mr. Smith and myself and a couple other people put our heads together and we came up with the Rocky Top raffle. So does anybody know how much money you can win? $2,500. Okay. So how much are the tickets? $10 each or 3 for $20. That's great. Where do you get the tickets?
From you.
From me. That's right. Okay. I have some tickets with me. I will be here until close today. I have to go home after session today. If you are a chapter president, a division president, you're a member and you want tickets sent to you, get in touch with me and I will mail you some tickets. The stubs and the money have to be to me before I leave for National Convention in July, or you can bring them to me there. And we'll be selling tickets at National Convention and I'm going to need some help doing that. So all of you that are going, get in touch with me, give me your information, and we're going to sell a lot of tickets. It's my goal and the fundraising committee's goal to raise $10,000 with this raffle. Okay. So, because it takes a lot of money to run an affiliate. So, thank you.
All right, one question of the raffle. Do you take money from New Jersey?
Yes. As long as it's legal.
I have counterfeit bills I'm trying to get rid of. No.
Nothing for them shoes, y'all.
Good morning. This is Ruth Seeger, and I'm the president of the National Federation of the Blind Senior Division. And Christina talked this morning about how important seniors are, and we think we are. And if you're not a senior, you know you want to aspire to be one someday. So Two things. One is that if you are interested in forming a senior group, we will meet in the back of this room about 1:30 this afternoon, just before the session begins, and we'll have a discussion on how to do that. Also, we are having our second nationwide senior retreat. We hold a senior retreat for people losing vision who may not have opportunity to learn skills and to network with other people as seniors losing vision. We hold it at Rocky Bottom, South Carolina. It will be September 15th through the 21st. And you need to see me and get an application and fill it out. There is a $300 cost per person. We have had states help people come to our retreat last year. 3 states sponsored retreaters. So I hope to see those of you interested in senior affairs at 1:30 in the back of this room today. Thank you very much.
All righty, everybody. So that being said, unless there's any dying, pressing matters, we shall
Motion to adjourn.
We'll see you at 2:00. Enjoy your lunch.
Wherever you want to go.
Yeah.